Hello, and welcome back to Speaking Business Central. Today is June 22nd, 2026. Today we're going to be looking at the new update for Business Central 28.1, which was officially announced by Microsoft via email to those getting notifications on May 18th. So May 18th, you may have gotten an email that said that 28.1 is now available. That update has been deploying over the past several weeks to environments all over the place. Actually, 28.2 I think is now available, but we're kind of lagging a little bit just to make sure that everyone gets 28.1 deployed, as many people as possible by this point, so they can go ahead and take advantage of some of these new things right away. So if we go ahead and just do a search on your search engine, Business Central 28.1, you should get a link, update 28.1 for Business Central 2026 release wave 1. And here is that page. And this tells you basically everything about this update. Over here on the left, you have previous updates. And as you can see, like I mentioned, 28.2 already actually available. May not have that deployed to your production environment at this point, but perhaps it's a good time to go create a new sandbox for 28.1 or even 28.2. All right, so what are some of the highlights of 28.1? There are actually a slew of new features and functionality included in this minor update, as this is the first update after the major release, or the major update 28.0. So the first thing that you'll see here is Microsoft is highlighting automate expenses with the new expense agent. Of course, they're continuing to lead with the Copilot features and functionality, embedding AI directly into Business Central. The new expense agent is used, as it mentions here, to help automate the expense process, extracting details from your receipts and actually generating reports automatically for you. In my opinion, the bigger announcement here is actually the availability of the new expense management module in Business Central. So it's kind of two separate things here. The first is a new module built entirely within Business Central that allows you to enter, approve, and record expenses for employee travel expense reports. So if you have any employees that regularly do expense reports, instead of having to do it offline or in a third-party app and then manually enter the information, these expense reports can now be processed directly within Business Central. There is a little caveat I'm going to get to in a moment here, but just let's stay tuned. That is kind of the lead story for 28.1. If we scroll down before a little bit here, the first thing is hotfixes. So if we go into hotfixes, I know a lot of people don't routinely look at the hotfixes that are released here, but let's just go ahead and click on this link here, taking us to the list of hotfixes. So we're not going to go through these in detail, but I just want to point out that there are three types of hotfixes. The first is platform hotfixes. And these are things in the kind of like the executables, the whole platform, some more technical in nature. There are 13 of those platform updates included in 28.1. And then if we scroll down a little bit, you'll see application hotfixes. These are features and functionality, hotfixes and updates made to features and functionality. Typically, there's been an issue reported by a user, and that issue then gets queued into the support team. Microsoft resolves it, and then they release a hotfix to resolve that issue in the next release. This version here, 28.1, has 155 application hotfixes included in it. It's a little bit higher than normal. Usually there's about maybe 50 to 100 of those. But this is the first minor release after a major release. So, you get a little bit of higher bump on those. So 155 fixes. If I keep scrolling down through all these fixes here, you'll see the third type of updates or hot fixes. Excuse me, I went too far. And these are local application hotfixes. So for each region, you should scroll down and look to see what region you're in and see if there's any applicable fixes that you should be aware of in your localization. I am in the United States, so I'm going to scroll down here to the US, and I see that there are two. So it looks like they've resolved an issue that prevents the creation of sales orders and customers on Android tablets and mobile devices. And then they fixed incorrect US tax amount rounding and inconsistencies on service orders with multiple tax groups. So perhaps you've run into one of these issues. Good to see with 28.1, it has been resolved. If we go back to the main 28.1 update page, here's the list of feature changes, and there's 13 different new features, I should say, released here. But little devil in the details, and that is, if you look closely at these, you'll notice that 3 of these are currently only public preview, and that is the manage expenses in Business Central using the expense agent, manage employee expenses using expense reports. That's the new expense report module. And the third one here, envision and design AI agents in Business Central. This is the ability to create your own agents within Business Central to carry out tasks for you. So those 3 are only in public preview. So what does that mean? Well, it means that if you're in your production environment, you're not going to see those features and functionality. Just as an example of that, if I'm here in my production environment, and for example, let's say I just type in expense. You'll see here I don't get very much. Pages and tasks, I just got cash flow, manual expenses. That's it. If I go into my 28.1 fresh sandbox that I just created, this one, because I just created it, it deploys the sandbox with these new features and functionality in it. So now if I type expense here, you'll see, look at all of these pages that are applicable to this new expense reports module. So expenses, expense teams, expense users, groups, reports, locations, categories, and then some related to the agent setup, approval setup, expense posting groups. So it is really a full, complete, comprehensive way for your employees to now enter their expense reports. And without spending too much time on this, if I just very quickly go into expense reports, you'll see that it's kind of traditional what you'd expect. I've got a unique expense report number. Each expense report is assigned to a specific person or user for a particular date range, perhaps within a specific dimension or department. And if we click on one of these and we look at this one here, this was one for Otis. Otis has 2 expenses here, some ground transportation, so taxi drive to the client location, and then meals, lunch with the prospect. And if I scroll over here, you've got some other information. Here's the amount. You'll see that there is a payment method. So maybe Otis actually applied this lunch with the prospect to his company credit card. In this case, you'll see that the reimbursable amount is 0 because it knows that he charged that onto the company card and the company will be processing that expense. But he still is able to record that expense here within the expense report. And then your typical report. Like, so you want to actually print a summary page or an expense detail report, you can do all that too and go through the approval process. But this is all in the sandbox currently. One other thing while I'm in the sandbox, up here, you'll see that there is a new expense agent that you can activate. And again, this is to be used for feeding in receipts or invoices to this and having it recognize it as a travel expense and create an expense record within the system. So all new functionality here. One last little piece here I do want to show too, related to agents here, is this little box here that's white, clear, not blue, is a generic agent. This is the ability to create your own agents inside of Business Central. Again, all of this is available in Sandbox. So if you want to go ahead and create a new Sandbox for 28.1, you can check all that out. So let's go back. Let's talk about a couple features that are actually available in your production environment for 28.1. And I'm just going to kind of focus on 2 new features here that I think are noteworthy for most people. The first is a simple, relatively simple one, but I think it's nice. The ability to control the life cycle of report layouts. So what this does is it basically adds a status field to all of your report layouts. So let me explain why this is interesting. Is because if I go into my report layouts, and let's just look at the report layouts for the sales invoice document. That is report number 1306. There's a bunch of them. Like, which one are we using? Which ones are active? Which ones don't we use anymore? Right now, without the status field, it was a little confusing without knowing which ones we're doing. You can see here which one's the default, but over here, you can see the layout status. And this one here is a new one that I created. So it's the sales invoice with my Speaking Business Central logo that I've added to the invoice. Right now it's pending approval. Little trick here, you'll notice you cannot click on these cells and change them. So how you change that status is if you go into you have to click on more options under this button here under actions layout status. You can set the status to a particular status. So maybe this one has been approved now. I've now approved that layout. And maybe what I want to do is go into some of these other layouts, go back in here, and maybe flip these to retired, right? So this allows me to kind of keep track of where are we at with these layouts. Have they been approved yet, or are we still working on building them? Second feature I want to talk about is the permissions overview. So let's go back to the list here. And where you're going to see that is under right here, audit user and group permissions across apps. So what they've done is created a new page called Permissions Overview. It's kind of a comprehensive view that allows you to view permissions from all apps and extensions in a unified view, filter data by object, scope, extension, or permission, and use FactBox to see who has permissions to various things. So real quickly, I have this open here, and I have it open because just so you know, when you launch this page, it will take a couple minutes to open it. I think it's kind of aggregating all the data in there. I've opened it a few times, and each time I've opened it, it takes a bit of time to open it. So let's say, for example, here's where, like, let me give you one example where this could be useful. Let's say that, we're having issues with users changing posting dates on the user setup table. So what I want to understand is which permission sets give a user the ability to modify the fields on the user setup table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set some filters here. I'm going to say table data is, and I'm going to search for the user setup table data. There it is. So now I get a list here, and you'll notice all these roles, all these permission sets relate to the user setup table. But some of them are read-only, and some of them are modify. So what I can do now is I can go over to here to my filter button, show my filter pane, and set additional filters. So I'm specifically interested in which roles give me the ability to modify the user setup table. So now I've got a shorter list here. These are all of the roles, and you'll see here all of them are yes on the modify permissions. So this kind of helps me understand which roles if I want to make sure someone does not have the ability to update the user setup table, then maybe I want to make sure that they do not have one of these roles assigned to them. Okay. So just a quick little example. It's kind of a helpful tool. You can also see which users are in, which users you have out there, what groups different users are in. So there's some nice functionality over here with groups and users as well. So that is 28.1. Kind of went through all the features. Oh, there's also a new API for analyzing permissions. So if you want to create an API to allow people, auditors or IT staff to analyze permission sets through maybe Excel or some other app, there's a new API for that data. A couple other notes here. If you're, again, 28 version 28 or 2026 release wave 1 is brand new. If you scroll down on this page, you'll see a bunch of new sessions on YouTube from Microsoft on what's new, as well as some other links here. So this is 28.1. Thank you for joining me. We'll be back in a few weeks for 28.2. So enjoy the updates, and we will talk to you next month. Bye-bye.